Hello and welcome back everybody. I've been waiting well over a year to do this review. I've had this bottle for maybe 15 months now, and today's review is all about Vétiver Oriental by Serge Lutens. I don't know if you can see that, it's lovely green juice, released in 2004 and of course composed by Christopher Sheldrake. I had no idea that this existed until shortly before I bought the bottle, because it's not very much talked about in terms of Serge Lutens fragrances. And what got me interested, first of all, was the name, Vétiver Oriental. I was intrigued because I was expecting something like a vetiver fragrance, but with obviously a base that, veered towards sweetness, vanillas, floral spices, the kind of things you would find in Oriental fragrances. And you kind of do get that. What I'm going to tell you right off the top of this video is, if you're expecting a vetiver fragrance, for example, like a Guerlain vetiver or a Tom Ford Grey vetiver or anything vetiver dominant as you would recognize it, you're not going to get it here, or at least my nose doesn't get it here. I'm sure there is vetiver here that might contribute to some of the woodiness that comes in this perfume and some of the perhaps greener aspects of the perfume, but vetiver does not dominate this fragrance in any way. And I must think I'm smelling something else when I see Fragrantica and Parfumeur list vetiver as one of the dominant notes in this fragrance in the composition. So what does it smell like? I will spray some on, and I've got the dry down going as always on the other arm. In the opening, I have to say it's a really nice and unexpected opening. There is something in here that the opening is green, but kind of mossy, almost bitter green, and definitely a herbal green. It's almost herbal, like something like wormwood, that kind of absinthe kind of scent. And it's funny now that I'm smelling it here on this arm as opposed to earlier on when I was taking notes, you can pick up a very smooth vetiver note here, but it is still in the background, okay? So it's not dominating in any way, shape or form, but it's beautifully blended with other green notes. It's a herbal green opening, little bit bitter, and if anything, there's more a mossiness. If there is any oak moss in this or whatever is in here as oak moss, that kind of is at an equal footing with whatever vetiver is in here. So it's green, it's herbal, it's kind of a little bit, no, I'm not going to say medicinal. Medicinals are not the right word, but it's a bit there is a bit of bitterness in it, but it is offset. I guess it's in stark contrast to the way that this fragrance eventually dries down. Now, as it dries down, that sort of green goes away or recedes to the background a little bit. And you start to get a little bit more woodiness. Now, anyone who is familiar with a couple of other Serge Lutens fragrances, namely Santal Majuscule, and I picked this accord up also in, the name escapes me now. Jeu de Peau, yes. There is this lovely creamy sandalwood note that is like the Serge sandalwood accord, if you like, and I picked that up in Vétiver Oriental. This comes through more in the heart. It's got a nice creamy woody feel in the heart. That greenness does stick around for quite a while into the heart. So it really is a unique, beautiful development in this scent, and it does almost have like a classical perfume feel about it, where you have distinct top, then a heart that you recognize, and then ultimately it dries down. And it does start, this is where the Oriental bit of the fragrance comes in, I guess, but what I mainly get is an ambery accord, okay, but it's not a full-blown, luscious, big amber that you might be familiar with. It's nowhere even near as big as something like Ombre Sultan, that sweetness, that labdanum and benzoin. Here, it's a very lean amber accord. It's very stripped down. In fact, really all I pick up is the smokiness and resinous qualities of the labdanum, but there are some dry woods blended in with them. I'm not sure what kind of woods, and I'm not talking about that kind of creamy, buttery sandalwood that comes just before it. It ultimately dries down. There is a lovely light touch to the sweetness in the base of this fragrance. It's kind of a, like I said, the best way to describe it is a very lean amber accord in the bottom of the fragrance. So you start off green herbal, into creamy woodiness, into a stripped down, slightly sweet, but nicely, almost a hint of smoke amber accord in the bottom. It doesn't get too sweet, and as I find with a lot of Serge, everything is balanced just right. So you get a contrast, you get a spectrum of things in this fragrance. Apparently this also has a dark chocolate note, as you might find in things like Santal Majuscule or Borneo 1834. But personally speaking, I don't pick any chocolate up in this at all, unless it's really just blended into that sandalwood accord, and I don't recognize it as chocolate. But it's an officially listed note, or cocoa, but I really don't pick it up in this. So to me, there is no obvious sweetness to this fragrance, but before your very nose, it develops from this lovely herbally, almost bitter green, into woods, into this nice, just a touch of sweet, ambery labdanum, a touch of smoke in the bottom. About 8 hours longevity on my skin. Not great projection, I wouldn't say, but what I get when I wear this fragrance, it just, this one here is weird. Like I do really like this fragrance. In fact, I probably love this fragrance. I have spent the last year wearing this, and really it's almost kind of an enigma to me, this fragrance, because the first time I noticed how herbally and green it was in the opening was when I was smelling close up, taking notes for this review. But previous to that, I just wore it and I just enjoyed it, and I never actually noticed that. So just be aware that this is one of those ones that can smell like a different thing from different distances, and if you concentrate too much on it, you might smell one thing, or if you just forget about it, you might realize that you're wearing something else. It's that kind of fragrance, which is one of the things I love about it. There's a little bit of mystery about Vétiver Oriental, and It might be the reason why it doesn't get talked about too much or it isn't as popular as other ones, but it's definitely one of many in Serge Lutens fragrances that should be sampled at least. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you all soon. Bye.